My wife's listening to Baby Shark right now.
It's a banger. Okay, guys, let's talk about cocaine.
I love cocaine. Is it pink?
What? Why would it be pink?
Have I heard of the new pink cocaine?
I have not heard of the new pink cocaine.
Man, you're missing out.
Is it like Himalayan salt? Is that why it's pink?
Pepto-Bismol.
Pepto-Bismol? Pepto-Bismol?
Yeah, you
same
snort
properties as cocaine?
You just crush it up in those tablets, in a mortar and pestle.
You crush up a liquid.
Mortar and Pepto.
Or they have pills, don't they?
All I've
ever taken is the liquid.
What about cocaine?
What about cocaine? Tristan, do you like cocaine?
Cocaine,
Oh, wow. Sounds like you're a robot.
Yeah,
or
where are you,
where are you at, man? Why can't we see you?
I'm in the ether.
In the ether. We killed Tristan and we uploaded his consciousness to the internet, and this is just his consciousness talking.
Yeah.
Hi, Tristan's consciousness.
Hey, how's it going? Don't forget to wash your hands or you'll be like me.
Yep.
Anyways, cocaine.
I love
it. You're worrying me how much you're saying you like this. Okay. Anyway, so I found this story. I thought it was kind of interesting because it was a large amount that they found, but they found in where was this? Charlotte, North Carolina. They found 23 pounds of cocaine stashed inside of a wheelchair.
A wheelchair?
Yes. 23 pounds. Like, I feel like that's a lot to put into a wheelchair, don't you?
Yeah?
Like, I feel like 23 pounds of cocaine is like a decent amount.
I don't even know. I don't think I've ever even...
I mean, I have no idea, but
I don't know how much cocaine weighs, but it does sound like a lot.
I've never even seen that much cocaine in my life.
I've only seen at least a pound.
See, I keep imagining... I keep imagining that it's like the same weight as like flour. Or maybe sugar. Right?
Potatoes.
Definitely the same weight as potatoes. But it's 23 pounds. I was like, dang.
Where'd they find it? Where'd they find the wheelchair?
Well, so let's see. The cocaine was concealed in the seat cushions of a motorized wheelchair.
I had a 25-pound cat. And I just...
You put the 25-pound cat in a wheelchair?
No, it's just for reference. I had a 25-pound cat.
That's so a big cat.
It's a cat's worth of cocaine.
That's a lot of paper clips.
It's a lot of grams.
A lot of grams. They said the street value was $378,000.
Dang.
I'm in the wrong business.
Did the owner of the wheelchair know it was there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because...
They felt the cushions. It was off.
Yeah, because supposedly what they're kind of saying but not saying was that he was completely faking the need for the wheelchair. They said that his answers didn't match up. Like, his physical purported handicap did not match up. So,
Man, I'm going to be...
He's sitting there. He's like, I can't feel my legs. And he's sitting there tapping his foot because he's so nervous about the cocaine.
Or he's hopped up on the cocaine.
Yeah, that wasn't nerves. That was just the coke.
That's just the coke.
The coke itself.
He's got the coke jiggles.
Let this be a lesson, boys and girls. Don't hide your coke in a wheelchair. Let's do this.
I don't got anything.
Roll the intro.
It's the intro. Bump, 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 bump. Man,
See,
I
the
wish you
funny
could hear
thing
this.
is, I actually can't hear the intro, but I'll assume whenever you start that we started.
It's
oh my
going.
gosh, I love it. It's still going. Yeah, it's
It's amazing. I've actually heard the intro a lot of times, and whatever you guys are mumbling sounds very different.
I was like, please say similar. No, he said different.
We're so good at recreating music.
Yeah. Welcome to the TRIFLIX cast, everybody. Yeah. Arrangement, if you're a longtime listener, which we know all of you are, the arrangement today is a little bit different. We got everybody from the crew on the show today. Yeah, say hi, Tristan.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Oh, you're so adorable.
If you wonder why he sounds like that, Tristan is in Florida right now on a vacation, and he was generous enough to call in today via cellular device.
Yeah, the superior mode of communication we found out. Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Google fails us every day.
Mm-hmm. No, it's our lack of infrastructure in the United States. Don't even get me started.
Oh,
Man, they're holding
Yeah,
everything
if we had upload speeds that matched the download speeds, I would have been getting at least 9 upload.
It would have fixed everything instead of your 0.69 megabyte.
yeah,
Nice.
that's horrible.
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel like you rigged those results.
I wish I could have.
Yeah, just 0001. Yeah.
Well, anyways, so
Who are we? What are we doing here?
Yeah. Welcome to the cast, guys. We are a crew of dudes that make video and photo content and a little bit of, some websites and some other little things that are out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're a creative media studio based out of Columbus, Indiana. My name is Cole. I am the executive producer here, and I am joined by my teammates here.
Me, David Baker.
Oh, no.
No, just kidding.
David.
No, we're
Let's
back
go
to
to
me.
David.
Okay,
let's
we're
talk
back to
about-
Daniel.
And then you have me, who's the new guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're coming up on a year, man.
Yeah,
that's
like
true.
10 months.
Does
I've been
Daniel
working
have a
here.
mic?
Yeah,
He
I
does.
do.
He
I'm
does have
here.
a mic.
I'm here. Hello.
Why does he sound like nothing?
Yeah, he's far away from the microphone.
I'm far away from the mic, but I can come up
You
closer.
sound like
for
a
you.
ghost. You sound like
yeah.
me.
So I think what we're finding out today with our new experience here, we bought a new podcast deck a little while ago. We have the PodTrack P8. We bought a bigger system so that we could plug in more microphones. One of the things that I hadn't quite thought of, and I think there might be, just saying, another way to do this.
I think there is. Yeah.
I think if you go USB, I think you go full USB cable.
Okay.
Which, I mean, while we're chatting, if someone wants, but I don't think we should try today. But
not
we just
live.
essentially have the phone plugged in via a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. So unfortunately, I think Tristan's struggling because Daniel is the furthest away from the phone.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we're like a foot away from it, and Daniel's like at least 5 feet.
All right, that's all right. You guys are the ones I need to hear, anyways.
it's true. I'm just
Oh
gonna
my
be in the
gosh.
background.
Who's left the intro? Who hasn't introduced themselves yet?
You.
Oh, hey, I'm Tristan, and I'm unable to hear Daniel, and I'm on a beach.
On a beach. That's awesome.
He's obviously the one that's doing the most well off,
Yep.
2 vacations in 4 weeks.
I am wearing some maybe 3-inch inseam American flag short, sitting on my balcony watching the beach and all the God's glory.
Sounds beautiful. Wish I was there.
Yeah.
That would be actually really cool to be able to
Beach
set
cast?
up and do a beach cast.
We'd have to like take things we would not care if sand gets on it.
Or be
Has to be-
really careful.
Yeah. Okay.
We don't have anything else. What else do we have?
We're not at the beach. What are you paying me to go to a beach? Then yeah.
This time next year,
There you
we'll
go.
save up. We'll
Yeah.
have a company cast.
Yeah, you heard it here,
Comedy
folks.
cast. This time next year,
This is,
beginning of June of 2023.
All right, we're
We'll
all
be
going to be on a
beachside.
beach somewhere, or of some shape or form.
Speaking of the company, I'm just going to segue us right in here, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today we're going to try to talk about maybe some of the ins and outs I know of the company, but I know we've talked about some of this stuff in the past. We might rehash some things, but obviously, of course, for those of you that haven't followed us episode by episode, some of this will be new to you. And anyways, we learned a lot of things over the last couple of years of Tristan and I being partnered and trying to grow this business.
Yep.
I know we've got some stories of when we were on our own, and I know you guys have stories and things of stuff that you've learned and stuff that you've gone through to help kind of grow and go through some of the things we have with clients and things like that. So I figured I'll kick us off with like our notorious one that gets referenced a lot. And of course we'll leave some anonymity for the company we worked with, because I think that's fair. But we had an experience. When was that, Tristan? That was at the end of last year?
Yeah, that was probably. I believe you.
No, we were super pumped. We were getting ready to work with this. I don't know. I would say it was a larger company.
Yeah.
Really pumped. There was a lot of work. A lot of stuff that was like highly produced, and then some stuff that was live that was less highly produced, but just more about like helping them to bring up their recording. It was in a classroom setting, so we were trying to help to elevate some of the media.
I remember this.
Yeah, and that's kind of why we were brought on.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things. It was actually kind of funny because it was one of the rare times that somebody tagged us in something on Facebook, and I just followed up with a DM because I was like, you know what, it's worth a shot. This sounds like a cool job. And I heard back for once. Like usually those seem to be dead ends because someone's like, it's like anybody online that's like, I need a real estate agent, and they get 50 people that just then comment other people's names, and it's just unless you get in there soon and fast, you're going to be down a list and no one's going to give you any attention. So I expected that to be the case. It was not the case. We ended up getting the gig, and we tried to we spent a lot of time organizing and trying to be better about our process. Not that it was broken at that point, but we knew with a larger shoot we needed to take it a step further and try to provide that next level of service as we continue to pull on larger clients, because that was kind of like the catalyst. Although, as you'll see throughout the story, that it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to, it still helped us, I think, to get to that next level. And we learned a lot from it, which is, the goal.
Yeah.
So we get into this process, and, we're putting everything together, storylines and scripts, and working with these guys and doing Zoom meetings and just trying to go back and forth and keep everything moving. And, we filming felt successful. Right, Tristan?
I'll be honest, this is super weird. I feel like I'm listening to a podcast, but every once in a while the people on the podcast say my name. Like I'm in the car, it's like I'm half listening, and then every once in a while I have to chip in. The client reached out, and they thought we would do a great job, man. They were super excited to work with us, and we were changing our whole process just to I wouldn't say schmooze, but I mean, we knew the next steps to make our process more professional, and we were trying to be diligent about that.
Yeah. And I mean, you would say like the actual on-site physical shooting went pretty well, right?
Yeah, I would say so. So prior to that was all the pre-production stuff that we had changed, and I thought the shoot went well. The part that was off was. It was kind of a first for us, where they wanted us to develop a script, and that's not something we usually do, because we don't really have anyone else that's like a full-time writer. And whatever they're like, hey, you come up with an idea, we're like, awesome, we'll come up with some ideas. We sent them to them. They approved everything, and then we started the production for 2 of the 3 videos that they wanted to do, and then we only shot 2 of the 3, I believe.
Yeah, we're not a full production house. Like, we're not investing time into talent for writing things, or
not at the moment. No,
not everything. I'm sure we would love to be, but right now we love just having fancy cameras and do the things.
But and I mean, it's like a client come to us, and it's like, okay, we can help advise on the script a touch, but we're not, we don't write them, we don't start from scratch. We can storyboard an idea and give you some thoughts, and on how we would do it.
But it's not like something we explicitly advertise, like, hey, we will do this for you. Like, no, like, we're cinematographers, we do photos and all this.
And they gave us that like an initial script, and they said, like, connect it and make it a story, like make it interesting for people to watch.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And I mean, up until this point, the shooting, the writing, all the things, it felt really cohesive. It felt like it was working. Everybody was happy. We were keeping communication open.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, because I know during the editing process, we had a lot of footage. We were working really hard. We had some color grading issues.
Tomato Man.
Tomato Man.
We first had the Blue Ducks, and now we have the Tomato Man.
Tomato Man.
He just had a very, very red shirt and turned into a tomato.
Well, and as we found out too, I honestly think, and maybe Tristan will back me up on this, I know that there's things you can do on set, but I also felt like color grading with the Nikons is also a little bit harder than we found with the Ronin.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the difference between log footage and non-log raw. It's just there's a couple things like you said that you can do on set, like getting better lighting. It was a very dimly lit large place, and a lot of the shoots we do are a lot smaller, so we're able to get away with the lights we had at the time. And since then, we've upgraded our lights to something that would, like the Amarants are capable of lighting probably that whole room. But for that shoot, they had a large room. They had a subject that was far away from the camera. We were supposed to be getting tight shots, wide shots, and it all led to really poor lighting, which makes color grading even harder. They wanted to try a bunch of different clothes on, which is normally not an issue for matching, but because we're using two separate cameras, one was log and one was just Rec 709. It's just, you have production things, and you have hardware limitations, and then you get into post, and then you have software limitations, and it was just a nightmare trying to color match everything. So in order to make the shirts look the same or the face look the same, everything about the background would be different, and the lighting would change, so then none of your scenes matched, and it just made it really, really cringy when we were done with it.
Yeah, that's where we got to coin Tomato Man.
Yeah, the Tomato Man. We have plans to get newer cameras. Well, we already have our new camera, the Ronin 4D. And we're planning on getting a couple more cameras at some point in the future that have sensors that better match that sensor too, right?
Correct.
Those are like the Sony. I don't know what they are.
So I've been looking at the A7 IV.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's pros and cons between the A7 IV and the A7 S3. I believe it's S3. I don't know if it's 3S or S3. Excuse me. But we've looked at both of them because we, just from what we've heard about Sony's color science, and we'd also be able to shoot on the same lenses. We're shooting on E-mount lenses right now on the Ronin. Yep. So the lenses would be interchangeable. We should have a better time with color science, so it should make the process easier. It just, again, the difference between the two cameras is like a megapixel count, and then you also, like on 4K 120, it crops on the A7 IV. There's certain things that you lose. There's pros and cons to each one, and so we haven't really decided on what to go with. I think I'm leaning towards the A7 IV because I'll use it for my stills as well for full-time use. So we'll see what happens with that, though, because again, it's like availability and also cash flow, being able to be smart about what we need to do next. All those things, just the Nikons have worked for us very well so far, and they're still doing their job pretty well.
Yeah.
It's better than the G7s. I'm just glad that we're like not using the G7s for anything anymore.
Well, except for
one angle. Sorry, on the podcast.
We get to see sometimes Mr. Daniel and me.
That's
most
why
of the
I'm
time.
staying on you guys.
Oh, it's not.
But anyways,
that bad. So I just brought that up because it's
what we learned,
things
right?
we learned from, and we trying to make things easier on us in the future, and so we're always thinking about how to improve in those areas.
Yeah,
but that wasn't even the core issue of what was happening there, right?
So that was one of the kind of internal things that we dealt with, and that was we worked through it, and we were able to make corrections where we could, and I thought that our end product was looking pretty darn good. So we sent some drafts, which is interesting now because I'm like hearing from other sources that maybe it's better to send a more polished product to a client. Which I think that maybe depends upon the client, but a lot of times this isn't me like bashing anybody, but there are a lot of people who lack the ability to see the final vision.
Yeah.
And if you leave that up to, especially sometimes the client, you're just kind of setting yourself up for broken expectations. And it's like, oh, okay, like, oh, they sent me the video, and like, yeah, it's a draft, and we preface that, and we still do that to this day, like preface it, it's a draft. We want to make sure we're not too far into this before you decide to make changes, because it takes longer then. And
it seems like it was a very more collaborative project too, because we were having to write stuff,
correct,
and everything. So it seems like you were writing things that were definitely not even close to being finished, especially just the scripts and like verifying, hey, is this what you're wanting for?
Yes, that was why I sent it.
And so, but the other things was like a one-off. We go up to a shoot, we film something, we edit it, send it out. That's not usually the case where we send really draft
Correct.
draft.
Yeah, I mean, we still word it as a draft, but
Yeah.
it's still something that's 98% finished.
Yeah. It's
Actually,
not like
technically, it's
a
100%
whip.
finished.
Yeah.
It's just usually they have like small changes. Like
We
a lot
know
of
it's
times
gonna
with
get
our real
changed.
estate stuff, you know, it's finalized. We send it, and they're like, "Oh, we'll change this wording or this part here," and those are revisions, right? But it's not technically on a draft, you know, project.
And it's just managing expectations too. And
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
draft to us might mean something different to them. And
For sure.
like maybe we should have put like work in progress, not final, blah, 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 internal use only, blah, 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 blah. And watermarks everywhere. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
But-
know. And I think, again, that's you made a great point, David, that it's managing expectations.
Yeah.
And that's what we're finding that we need to do more of as we continue through the process. Like, especially I'm finding that with our real estate stuff, you know, I want to make sure and manage expectations. And yes, our website says 24-hour turnaround. And yes, it says, you know, these are the things that you should think about. We have a link to a sheet that shows what the seller should do before we show up. These things don't happen, and it's frustrating to us. But we have to take that next step that if people aren't seeing this and are not understanding this, then we have to find ways to communicate it, because it's not our fault that they don't know it. Or sorry, it's not their fault they don't know it. It's ours.
Sure.
So, you know, educating the client is also something that we as a company need to take more time to do, you know, once we find it.
Yeah, being on the same page is one of life's greatest efforts.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not
And
just
everything.
our, yeah. Yeah.
But
if
yeah.
you're not on the same page, it makes things so much harder.
But so we go through this process, you know, we're working through the color grading, all that stuff. We send them the drafts, and we get good feedback right off the bat. And I think this is the first video we sent, because we sent them in succession. First one went out, got some feedback, waited a little bit. Second one went out because we were still finalizing. So we took care of that. And I think it was after the second one, I got some good feedback. And then Tristan, I don't remember how long it was before we got it, but I want to say like a half week, another week later, like we get an email and they're like, yeah, we would rather reshoot everything.
I didn't even think it was that. I thought it was creative differences, and they just wanted to drop immediately. I didn't think there was an option for reshoot.
No, so initially there was an option for reshoot that I was, you know, it was, I don't like any of it, and I'm paraphrasing, but you know, I don't like any of it, and I'd like to reshoot everything. And then I said, you know, I understand. We'd be happy to work that out with you. We want you guys to be happy. You know, we're here to work with you. You know, all the things. And then we did finally hear back, I think after that reply, that they were like, you know, we think we're going in two different directions completely creatively, and we'd like to pay you for your time, and we're done.
Wow.
Yup.
And it was like, it was beautiful, and it was very nice of them to want to pay us for the time that we had put in for the videos that we delivered, which we delivered and we made sure that they had access to, you know, which I think some people would advise against. But we did it because we were trying to be as helpful as possible. This was kind of a big hit for us, and we knew that their ties with a certain industry that we have a lot of ties with, you know, we wanted to make sure that our names weren't going to get tarnished in that, and that we could continue to grow in that area. So we tread very lightly throughout that whole process, and you know, we were very thankful. They paid, they took care of us, and I continued to try to kind of rectify the situation, and didn't really get anywhere. So that was one of those things that we kind of let slide for a little while. The funny part of that I don't know if a lot of people know, if anybody really other than us internally, we waited on that check for like 3-4 months, and we were scared to death. And I didn't want to reach out because, you know, of just the, you know, it was a blow for both, especially Tristan and I. You know, I told him after I saw the email, we messaged back and forth. We were super down about it, super upset. Just, it was like, we felt like we were getting our feet off the ground, and then someone just kind of slapped us back down into the concrete, you know, like, so we were feeling pretty low. And then to send the invoice and never hear back, we were super upset. And literally the same day that I go to write an email and say, you're behind, you know, I understand, I'm not upset, we're not going to charge you a late fee, but I'm just going to remind you again that we agreed, you said you would pay, here's the invoice again, appreciate your time. The check had been in the mailbox for like 3 months because we just never checked the mailbox here.
Oh, no.
Because like
They
nothing
sent
gets
a
sent here.
check.
I mean, nothing was supposed to have been getting sent here, and they had sent the check in the mail, and it was literally like sitting in the mailbox for, I mean, it had to be at least 2, maybe 3 months.
Oh my gosh, that would have been embarrassing to have sent that email.
No, I know. I just was like, I had this gut feeling. I was like, Tristan, we need to check the mailbox. And he checked it, and the check was in there. And I was just like, ran up the stairs and was like, dude, oh my gosh, it's been in there the whole time.
Is that an option on our invoices? Like, I'd rather
No.
send a check.
No,
they
it's
just sent
not.
us a check.
Yeah.
The problem. So what happened was, he's like, "Did you check the mailbox?" And I was like, "Why would they? Like, why would they send it in the mail?" And
Yeah.
and we started thinking about it. I was like, "I'm pretty sure our address is on the invoices." And I was like, "Yeah, it is." And he's
Yeah.
like, "We probably should check the mailbox."
Oh my
It
gosh.
wasn't even an option. They just it's like when you fill out a little form and you got like the A, B, C options, and somebody selected D, other.
Yeah, they filled in the blank.
Which
Yeah.
maybe we need to throw in some terms in like a sub paragraph somewhere that says, you know, if paying by check, you know, please notify us that you're sending it, just at least that we know.
Yeah.
Because 90% of our clients pay online through our payment service. So
Yeah.
when someone sends a check, they don't normally say, hey, I'm sending you a check.
Yeah.
Or it's a repeat client that we're just like, oh, it's, you know, Bob or Jim. They always pay by check, you know. This was a news client, and I think David's right. Maybe just having some other option on the invoice or some wording would make it easier.
Yeah, and I forget that people pay by check.
I only use checks whenever someone needs to set up a direct deposit and I have to give them a voided check
Oh,
or
yeah.
my rent,
Mail
which is
kinda sucks.
one a month.
You just don't know if you're going to get mail or not. You just have to check, which is like such a lazy thing to say. But I just realized that like a year ago, I signed up. I realized that maybe people don't know about this, is you can sign up for a notification from the mail service to have an email sent to you of all like the scanned items that go through their system that's going to show up at your door.
Yes, I've
And I
had
get-
that for a long time.
Yeah.
I
And
love
that's
it.
awesome.
I
I've
get
never
an
heard of that.
email about like, hey, these are the items showing up in your mail today. This is delivery scheduled for the rest of the week. Here you go.
Maybe I've
Wow.
known about this. Why haven't we set it up for the office? I've never thought about it.
I've never
thought to
even heard
mention
of
it.
this.
But let's
This is
look
crazy.
into that.
That's probably
Yeah,
a
which
good
it's
idea.
called. It's called USPS Informed Mail.
Yeah, informed deliveries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
informed deliveries. I
Yeah,
get one
that's
every day
awesome.
for my house.
Yep. It's great.
Wow, that's such a government thing. You know, like they never do anything right, but whenever they do, they forget to tell anybody about it.
Yeah. I think when I moved, I think I got notified about it. And they sent it in the mail. So, you know.
You
I
wish you
might
could have
not.
seen this notification before
Yeah.
it came in the mail? Guess what? You can.
So, it was almost even more of a disaster then, huh? Just having that one last interaction of us almost fumbling. But, you know,
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't hear about that until now.
As far as the client stuff
Oh.
goes, though, like that whole situation was it was a bummer. But we've talked about it before. Is like, how do you handle clients' negative feedback on projects? And it's like sometimes their customer is right, and if it's their product, they're supposed to always be right. But there's been a couple of cases where the client asks us to do something, and you got to get that paycheck. And I think that was one of them where it was just
Yeah.
like, I fundamentally disagree with your input on this choice for the direction of the video, because based on the information we were given, it was about showcasing the personality of the video and the company. And I thought, you know, given how our interactions with them had gone, it seemed like it was a lighthearted company that wanted to seem fun and engaging and inviting.
No, that's what I got from the video when I watched
thought
it.
our idea for it kind of pushed it more in that direction, as opposed to the hyper professional white tie or something like that, or the business class type of person.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to approach the everyman, and I don't know. It seemed like maybe I guess the other thing too was the example work we had sent them was very in line with the style of video that we sent to them. And it makes me wonder if they even watched our example videos before hiring us.
Yeah.
Yep, which we had that discussion. We were like, I wonder, if it was one of those things that there wasn't as much due diligence done on their side from the get-go that we had kind of assumed was already there. Which I'm pretty sure we sent examples, but I get it. Sometimes that's not how it works, and sometimes somebody just wants something done fast, and they just take us at face value, which is fine.
In a business environment, I've kind of learned to lower my expectations of whoever I'm going to meet with, especially when I set up some meetings, especially at my previous job. Sometimes I'll be like, hey, sending you an email. We're going to meet. Here's something for us to go over beforehand. And I kind of just assume that didn't happen. And so I ask, and then like, okay. Yeah. And then I have it kind of built in preemptively into my meeting. Like, okay, well, we'll go over this real quick, and then we'll have the actual discussion.
I gotcha.
So maybe that's something to double check and like have, there's always different approaches with everybody you work with.
I mean, we can only lead the horse to the water. If they want to pay us to drink it, then that's on them. Like, I mean, we did everything. We literally showed them examples of our work and like, hey, this is the type of humor. If you want it
point of diminishing returns, right? Like how many things you think you can fix with what you've done in the past.
Because what happens if they don't hire us and we just did 4 hours worth of R&D on their project?
Everybody's on the same page.
10 meetings for like 4 hours of R&D. We send all this stuff off, and they're like, "We need more examples." We send it to
we're
them.
Good. We're going to go somebody else back.
Which happens all the time.
It's true,
and that's part of like what Cole was saying, was like changing up our process and like trying to be more professional about what we're preparing. This is one example where we sent more than we usually would, and apparently it was more confusing that way.
Which I think too, I mean, not just getting organized and more professional. I mean, sometimes that's also about, reformatting some of the things as well, and learning. I think we're doing that with website design 2.0 right now, is that we're really, at least I would like to put a lot of time and thought into, user design or user interface design, and like what people think and how people feel about certain things. And that probably my hopes is that it starts at our website, and it'll trickle down to the rest of the company.
Yeah.
I would doubt that.
You don't think so?
No, I joined the meeting call this morning and nobody was on it, so I assumed you guys weren't working on the website today.
The meeting call.
Maybe it was yesterday.
We did it Monday.
Well, you usually haven't been part of the website meetings.
We haven't had one since. We haven't had a website meeting unless it was the other one when I was on my other trip.
I didn't even know there was a call attached to that.
Yeah, no, there was a Google. I joined it, said nobody was there, and I was like, all right, I'm going to the beach.
Mine popped up on Monday, and I just did it. We just did it on Monday.
That's funny. I'm sure. I'm really excited about the 2.0 update, because I think there's a lot of I feel like design choices we have pretty locked in with our current website, but I feel like there's some user interface changes that would improve the experience, and then also how accessible the information is to people that don't like to search. I think everybody's been contributing some good ideas towards making it as was it not Kanban? What is the Japanese word for stupid proof? It's
I don't remember. Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's Kanban. But yeah, we're trying to make the website as stupid proof as possible.
So
we're assuming all of you are stupid and you can't use a website.
I like it when people assume I'm stupid on a website, because it saves me time.
No, I
find what I need as quick as possible.
Websites need to account for that. That's you have the user interface, which is like the buttons and like the layout of everything, and then what's also tied with that is the user experience. That's basically how you go about accomplishing a task, and the interface is like what you're doing to do it. And so you have to find a great balance of making sure whenever you want to do something on a website is easy and it doesn't frustrate the user, but also laid out in a way that doesn't like clutter the website and makes everything terrible. It's kind of like Microsoft versus Mac OS or Windows. Like Windows, like if you tell somebody like, hey, like change your screen resolution, it has great user interface for the most part, but the experience of doing that like really sucks. And then on Mac OS, it's like really easy to do, and some of the settings might be more nebulous to find. But it's all about just making sure somebody's enjoying what they're using, and that's what Apple gets right a lot on all their stuff. Is because everybody, all the experience for the most part, doing something on an iPhone today versus one like 10 years ago is almost exactly the same thing.
It's true.
And then Windows
is it
like
intuitive?
yeah, it's somewhat intuitive. And they have something like on Windows or Android, and they like change everything every year, and like it's frustrating. And they might make better interfaces and ways to do it, but it's different like every 5 months, and so the experience really sucks.
So I looked it up. Kanban is card you can see, which is basically our QR code system on all of our equipment. Pokeyoke is the idiot-proof one.
Pokeyoke?
So we need a Pokeyoke our website.
But see, and that's why I was saying I think I want it to start there, because we're giving it a lot of thought, and I think as we continue to grow, we're giving a lot of things way more thought than we would have before, because we're also trying to future-proof for growth. And so I think, if we use that as kind of like one of the big stepping stones to take us to another level, because the website is one of those things where people come to, and it's our portfolio. It's how we show our work. It's how people understand who we are and what we do. And it's kind of like the first impression of a business. And with that being said, I think all of our internal processes and meeting processes, all those things need to follow suit. Yeah. And that's what we've been doing. And not even just that, but even just the look and feel of the company. Yeah. I think there's a lot of stuff that's not quite unified yet. I mean, we've been working on it. We've made small tweaks. And our goal is to, by the end of the year, and hopefully it's before then, but just saying, as a long-term goal, by the end of the year, have the new website launched, and then have everything else be, caught up and coexist, coincide, look the same, feel the same, throughout.
The current website is like a giant pile of duct tape. It's working, and it's doing a lot of what we wanted it to do, but not in the best way possible.
Correct.
And it fails in a lot of different ways because of that duct tape.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to hate much on it. We've got a lot of compliments. It works. Yeah. People go to it. We have good web traffic. Like we've done a lot of optimizing, and Tristan, that's what I was going to say as well. At our meeting, we didn't really do anything with 2.0, but we did do some things with the current site. Which it's kind of sad that we just did it now. So we'll talk about that off camera. Yeah.
So I'll talk more about the 2.0 site. A lot of the functionality is almost the same as our current site. It's just done from the ground up with that and ideas and like everything intended from the first place. So it works more fluidly. For example, if you go to our portfolio and you see looking at the Coffee House 5 shoots, it's like, okay, what thing did they buy from us that got them that? And we have that at the bottom of the page now
with examples.
Yeah, with
instead of being like we're like a white girl, like a little high school kid with Gucci or whatever, and it's like, I got a brand name, so I'm cool. Like I got my Gucci belt, I got my Louis Vuitton bag, and we're like, check out our Cummins badge. Yeah. Look at our Cummins belt and our Furcia hat and look at our Toyota shoes.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It's like a giant ad or a store. We're trying to show off as much as we can.
Yes,
and then from there, all right, well, they ordered like the pro package of the commercial section, and then you can also see more projects that were made with that package. And so you can see different ways it could be done. If you're like, all right, I don't sell coffee, I sell handbags, or I sell Gucci. And like, have you done anything similar to that?
I sell Gucci.
And then, everything just makes sense. And then like, all right, maybe I want to go to a package above that. And like, you can see that. And so just, the questions that come to mind, we're trying to quickly answer and make it easy to figure out. Because right now our website doesn't do that.
Yeah, let's actually come up with some ideas right now. Hey, Daniel, what do you want to see on the website?
What do I want to see on the website?
Yeah, on the new website.
Any complaints so you have a better website, you can say them right now.
That or even like a single feature that you just is on your wish list.
One time that I was actually I was not even at the office, and I went on the website and I tried hitting the video button in our portfolio. I didn't show up any video.
And we fixed that.
It was such a simple fix.
Don't bring up issues that are fixed.
I know, but that's like the only complaint. Like sometimes the portfolio is difficult to navigate with how many categories, I guess. We have so many. We have like video, then we have like commercial, and then we have all this stuff. And like I know we have media tags, and we also have like what's the other tag that we have?
Service.
Go ahead.
Service tags and media tags.
Yeah,
There you
service
go,
tags and media tags, and those get confusing sometimes. Like, not gonna lie, that's a little confusing, especially like, for me. Like going into this whole field, I didn't really know what that meant. I thought,
gotcha.
like, oh, it's just products. It's all products.
It's all products. It's all products.
So one of the parts of my research in doing this, our current site only has like the 3 boxes at the top, and you click them and you have to select.
Right.
A lot of what we're doing is actually solved by like how online stores do it. They have a little thing on the side, and it has little categories where you're just like, I want like ones with only videos, and you just click the checkbox and it only shows videos. And like, if you're on Amazon, that little bar on the right has all those filters.
Right.
It's basically what we were trying to do, but we did it in like the least. So it has great user interface because it does everything we wanted, but it has a horrible user experience because it was super confusing. Doesn't make any sense.
Well, it started working after you fixed the URL, the saving.
Yep.
Whenever you're doing this filtering, that was a huge
That was one issue that we had.
Improvement for everyone involved.
Yeah, being able to share what you were looking at and be like, all right, I filtered this down to like photos that were only from weddings. All right, how do I show somebody this? And you send them the link, and it just resets all the settings. We made it save that.
We don't do
Thank you.
photos for weddings.
I was just getting ready to say that. I was like, we don't photograph weddings. We can recommend somebody, but we don't do it.
It was just
We used to.
mysterious example.
R.I.P. Ben.
Yeah. May he
R.I.P.
rest in peace. Or may he rest in Chicago or wherever he's at.
R.I.P. Ben. Rest in Chicago.
He's not dead, okay?
But he's alive. It's just
R.I.L.A.
Dead to me. No, I'm kidding. I think I met Ben once, maybe. Yeah, I met him when I came in and did the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. Hope you're doing well, Ben. We actually love you. It's all right.
Back in the day when we used to have guests.
Yeah.
Hey, man, we're going to get it figured out. I've been thinking about it a lot today, okay? So leave me alone.
Well, this is kind of a guest. We got Daniel. He was our first guest on this.
So.
Yeah, the guy our guest, they got one line. What his website recommendations were.
He's allowed to talk. He just doesn't want to.
Great
It's
guy.
all allowed to talk. I just stressing about
today's
the buttons.
a learning.
I want to make sure
He's
I'm
stressing
doing
about
good.
the buttons.
Yeah. He's got four
He's like
buttons in
Tristan's
front of
talking.
him right
What button
now.
do I push?
He's got 4 buttons, and he needs to know which ones to press, and we need to give him some slack.
Hey, man.
So
It's complicated.
It's complicated.
trying to think about a feature or something on 2.0 that I would request.
Oh, okay.
I've been thinking a lot about it since Monday because you and I were talking about it again, and
A budget
I'm behind.
field and contact us?
No. Yeah, that's my feature request is that we
To
remove
remove it.
the budget field from the contact.
Yeah. I love the current one because sometimes we get spam from just random people, and they just put budget as 0. I was like, oh, cool.
Great.
Thanks for putting that in.
I'm not replying to you. No.
No budget. No
I missed
problem.
the mushroom option. Can we bring mushrooms back?
I loved the mushrooms.
I think we should. Maybe that's my one feature request, at least for while we're talking now, because I could go in depth, but that's also I'm very involved in the process.
Yeah.
But I would like some Easter eggs.
Easter eggs.
I think we should build in some Easter eggs.
Oh.
What exactly do you mean by Easter eggs?
Oh.
Like, are you talking MCU like Easter eggs, or are we talking Pixar?
Well,
Okay.
I don't know if it has to be something specific. You know what I mean? I just mean in the generality of Easter eggs, whether that's something fun that's baked into the source code, where people do like the drawings within the code.
So, yeah, for people who don't know what an Easter egg is.
Yeah, sorry.
When the bunny comes along.
I was waiting.
No.
It
the
poops out
term-
one on your website.
The term comes from video games. Developer decided to hide things in the game, and like if you were to find it, it'd be like discovering an Easter egg on an Easter egg hunt. And so it was modeled to be that sort of experience, and now it's blown up and it's in movies and everything too. And so an Easter egg is something that you find that wouldn't normally notice would be there, and it's supposed to fill you with joy and happiness. Like, hey, I found this thing, and so you just hide stuff everywhere.
Yeah, because it's not meant to be found.
Yeah.
or be in your clear line of sight or be out in the open. It's like one of those things that you might notice if you pay enough attention to, and if you do, you're like, oh, because it's going to be a small amount of people that see it. And it's just like a little.
Because there's a small amount of people that go to the website.
So if you remember
That's not
Yahoo,
true.
so if you remember Yahoo on their logo, I don't know if it still does it, but there's an exclamation mark after Yahoo, and if you like click it a whole bunch of times, it'll play the audio Yahoo. And that was like a Easter egg that I thought was cool when I was like 8 years old.
So it's kind of like when you Google askew.
When you Google a what?
Askew.
Askew?
Askew.
What does that do?
Well, I mean, Cole has his laptop if he wants to do it. If you go on Google, just Google askew.
Yeah. Askew.
Askew.
Oh, yeah.
Like slanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And doesn't the whole thing flip or something like that?
It doesn't flip. It's just askewed.
Yeah. A little tilted.
Oh, yeah.
No.
And you can also do Google backwards, and then it just does a mirrored version of Google. So like.
Yeah. Did it do it?
Googly, I don't know.
Oh. El Goog? Like you
You might have to actually type in the .com as well, but also backwards. So it'd be like
Backwards.com?
so moc.elgoog.
I haven't heard of this one.
I did it once, so
Only once.
El Goog.
El Goog. So yeah, I think Easter eggs on TRIFLIX 2 would be fun to do. I don't know what we would add, but we are not going to disclose them here because we want them to be a secret.
Disclose what?
Easter eggs that we would do on the
Oh,
site.
yeah. No, we don't want to disclose that.
Can we add a button that says enable eggs? And then like they push that.
It just like cracks open an egg or something.
Yeah, that's I really like enable egg.
Egg mode turned on.
With no egg mode.
better yet, it just like pours like a whole dozen eggs just on the website entirely.
Yeah, it just
and then
eggs
the whole
the
thing,
website.
the whole thing just crashes.
Well, I told you I wanted dark
do some
mode.
fun
Maybe
stuff.
instead of that, we just have
dark mode.
a hidden switch, and when you switch it on and switch it to dark mode, it's just all black.
Or it just makes everything blinding white.
Oh my gosh.
Just it's like, hey, make sure you're in a dark room. You've seen the sun.
Boom! Especially
It's
with
like
my
a
laptop.
flashbang.
Holy crap, that thing will blind you.
Yeah.
1,200 nits.
So
Peak bright.
yeah.
I'll show you all my nits.
I've never seen
Not a fan
Tristan
of
liked
that.
it.
I've never seen nits quite like that.
There's the Apple event.
Never
which is
seen
great.
another man's nits.
Oh yeah, no, I wanted to talk about that. I guess
Yeah.
did we close the loop or close the story on the whole client thing?
Yeah, I almost said the client.
Yeah, I almost did
We
too.
would have had to
Believe me, I was
bleep
like,
it.
"Ugh."
Yeah.
But they can't read my lips. You can just bleep it in post.
That's
true. Just in case we didn't, because I can't remember if we did or didn't, but we did have that final email, and we took care of what we needed to, and they did pay up and everything, and so we, I think everything was amicable in the end, and we've definitely taken that experience, and we've grown with that, and we've been able to pull on a lot of other large corporations.
Yeah.
Because of some of that.
Kept moving
Did you
forward.
ever send them that email, the follow up, asking for what it was that
Yes.
Hey, we're a small company. We're doing our best. Like, let us know how we can improve so that we can avoid stuff like this in the future. What was the response?
Yeah, hold on. Let me. Oh man, now
Because
you're
as far
looking
as
it up.
I understood it, we never got a response, but that's probably not the case.
I think from my memory, they said that the video was like choppy and unprofessional.
Yeah, I remember it now.
Yeah.
Every
something
video
along those
after
lines.
that, when I sent it to a client and I send it for review, I'm always like, I hope they don't think it's too choppy.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah,
It says
so what is it?
says the videos do not have the professional look we desire. It looks choppy and not to the level or quality we had hoped.
I nailed it. I'm so glad they didn't like it like that.
Which I don't remember either, Tristan, but I didn't think. It says, I wish I had known this was your first experience with this type of video. I thought you had more experience.
Oh no, I remember that.
Because what were we
I
like?
don't know how they drew that out of anything we told them, but
Agreed.
it wasn't. I would say it was our first experience. I don't know what they meant by that, to be honest. Cause
maybe that's why we were thinking they didn't see the examples that we sent them. Maybe they just saw that we sent examples, like, references on a resume, didn't actually bother call them or whatever. It's like, well, they put references on the resume. They got to be real, right?
Well, they actually changed the scope.
Yeah.
They changed the scope of the project. Originally, it was just supposed to be an interview. And then they're like, all right, the interview style, I want it to be scripted, and I want it to have, like, more of a conversational, like, acting-based thing. And then I was like, sure. And they're like, we'll provide the actors. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And they're like, and we'll schedule the times. And they were, like, very hands-on with the production side of it. But the scripting, they, like, had everything hashed out. And then it wasn't until after they decided to work with us that they changed it so that it was more of an acting-based thing, which we have done stuff like that before as well. But usually that's with someone with any acting ability. And then I've worked for companies before that outside of our media company when I was freelancing, and we've done acting things before. So I don't know how they drew that out of I don't know where they got that conclusion, and it still kind of throws me off. But the choppy editing comes from whenever you don't have great acting, you have to cut it for the story so that it makes any sense at all. And I wouldn't say it was choppy. It was you overlap people talking because it's a conversation, which can come across as choppy if the conversation isn't flowing properly, like if people aren't acting.
We have experience a lot with that in interviews. We do a lot of cuts in interviews, especially if we have multiple cameras, because it makes it easy to hide the actual the choppiness itself, because you have two non-moving cameras. The subject who is being interviewed is also not moving, and if you get enough like cuts and takes of the same thing, and when they have to stop and start, you can make it just seem like, oh, we just switched to a different camera angle, but it's actually a completely different take. It could be their 30th take, and it just flows naturally because we can cut it like that. And when you move that to the actors and all the stuff that if I remember the video, and it's a draft too. Like, you have to remember that it was like a draft.
I know.
It wasn't supposed to be.
We also didn't use actual actors. Like, these were actually the people that we used without giving up too much. They were real people that were,
present
paying
for that event.
Yeah, they were paying customers essentially of what the product was.
They were of the service of
correct. And so, and which we were kind of fine with. And I mean, in retrospect, I wish we would have squashed that and figured out a way to have staged it in a way that we could have used people who were ready for it, and that we would have had time, instead of like, oh, this is a time when you're supposed to be kind of engaging with the product or the service, and we're going to take away from that time, which also only leaves us with so much time. Yeah. And if Tristan and I or any of us have learned anything, that every single time a project gets to a point where it's rushed, that's where stuff falls apart.
Yeah.
Yep.
A video, I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it right now, is that a Coffee House 5 video that you guys been working on for the Husky mugs?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
I feel like that's a beautiful example of kind of a similar thing that they're trying to do. You have talking heads, people actually doing something in the environment where it's happening. And the video is actually, I think it looks awesome.
It does. And what's funny is we were super rushed that day.
Really?
Oh, we were incredibly rushed.
Talking about not being rushed.
But I told them to hold their horses because we're shooting until it's done right.
And which was, that's again, like, from Tristan and I's experience and directing and producing, it's like, we're getting to the point where it's just like, look, it's either going to be this way or it's not going to be right. So you either go along with it and we do a pickup day, or, that's just where we are. And the product even being rushed, because we still were, but we used people who were there specifically to be in the video. And the extras
we didn't do the hiring for that one. That was another situation where the client hand selected people for the video, but the difference was the client selects a trained actor, or at least someone with prior experience capable of fulfilling the role. Because there's physical actors, there's comedic actors, there's like dramatic, like play type actors. There's different types of acting, and the person they selected had the voice and had the look. And whenever you're on a small production, you can't afford Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson because you need a huge jacked superhero looking dude. And if you can't afford the person that looks the right way, that's trained, the second best option whenever you're in a smaller production is to hire the person with the voice for the role that you're doing. Because the voice is going to deliver more than the physical performance in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And they did a phenomenal job finding an actress that that sounded the part and could speak to the nuances of like the product in a way that sounded very genuine, and it made shooting it so much easier.
What impresses me is actors that are good at acting like bad actors. Like an actor that's acting a person who's taking acting lessons and is like really horrible at acting.
Yeah.
That impresses me. Just a side note. That just,
I could do that pretty easy.
Yeah. I'm sure. You're bad at acting like a bad actor. I'm sorry to say
man.
that.
Which is, and again, these are, it's like, I figured out that I'm a lot better just producing and being on the sideline than being on the lens or being behind the lens, especially during like a short film. Now, if it's me being me, that's fine. I've learned how to be comfortable behind it. But it was definitely when we did the short film that will be unnamed that I was in. Oh, everybody said it.
No, it's Chris.
Italian 2, when is it coming out?
Regret that so much. But, again, I learned. I was like, not good as an actor. Gonna pass on that. You know what I can do? I could find people that can do it. So,
Dude, that's such a BS way of looking at it, because it's like, I'm going to go play Major League Football. I'm not good at Major League Football from this one game.
Coach.
I'm never playing again. But you know what I could do? I could stand on the side and tell people how to play.
Yeah, you got to be the coach.
sounds about right.
Yeah. Have you seen Major League Baseball
Isn't it-
coaches?
That's the job of a producer,
Isn't it those who can't do teach?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, there's a little lizard out here. He's just bobbing his head in the sun. He's chilling.
Yeah,
He's huge. He's got a big curly tail like a pig.
Curly tail
Take a picture.
like a pig.
Take a picture.
It's a pig
He's
lizard.
too far.
He's
He's too far away.
He's too far away, and
If
he has
you're
a
gonna take a
Pixel
picture of
3A.
it, I was gonna fill it in as him in the edit. It's a little
There
lizard.
you go.
I'm sorry to. It's just, man, it's so cool looking. He's like doing a full squat.
Full squats.
Squatting.
Wow.
Everybody just do a full squat right now.
I'm
All
done.
right, I'll go downstairs and try to get a picture. We'll throw it up at the end of the podcast if I can find it.
One. Done. All right.
Okay.
We're talking about...
We got one more thing we want to talk about. David and I want to talk. So we'll throw some things your guys' way and see what your thoughts are on this. But I'm assuming that Dave and I are the only ones that watch WWDC.
It's 2 hours long.
I watched the 24-minute supercut from The Verge.
I watched it live.
I wanted to, and I forgot.
Yeah.
Actually, it was going to rain. I needed to mow my yard.
I had it on in the background while I was working, and it was nice.
Yeah, the first thing that I want to bring up is the new abilities in iMessage. That that within the first 15 minutes of sending a message, a text message through iMessage, that you can edit or unsend a message.
I didn't know it was time bound. I thought
is
you could just do
time-bound.
it. I think that's nice. That makes a lot more sense.
Well, yeah, because that would suck. Because I was thinking about it, I'm like, that did nothing like just an unlimited time edit. So, because I'm like, I would send the worst stuff and then unsend it and then re-edit it and like, whoops, sorry,
Not meant for you.
edited.
Oh my
I think you
gosh.
should be able. The thing they should do though is you should be able to see all the versions.
Yeah.
They show you the most current one, but if you click like the edited portion, like it says at the bottom that it was an edited text.
I'm a firm believer in that. I've thought about that many times, especially for like Twitter. Where Twitter doesn't let you to edit it. It's like, okay, just save the previous version.
Yeah.
Let me see what it was before, and like problem solved. And you can only edit like once.
Yeah, because I could see people getting in trouble. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they roll this out, because obviously it won't come out till like September, which won't come out is, I'm speaking specifically of iOS 16, the new version
It's
of
September. I
iPhone
didn't even
software.
see a date for it.
Well, it's just when it usually hits, because
New
essentially,
iPhone.
right, so you have the year starts, they have the event, and then they usually launch the new version of it on the new phone for that year.
Yeah.
So iPhone 14 will come with iOS 16, and then all of us,
Yeah.
poor people with our 13s will finally get it.
I got a 12. I don't have a 13.
I got a 3. Hey.
I have a 3.
Which, yeah, I mean, they're getting ready to come out with 7 on your end. So.
Well, there's one thing that pertains to Tristan a lot.
Okay, but hold on. Here's my thing.
Oh,
it's only
what's your thing?
It's
I wanna
only
know.
through Safari.
Is it
I'm not
only
using
through
Safari
right now?
Yes, it's a Safari
Well, it's
thing.
going to grow beyond that.
I hope so. But go ahead.
So we're talking about
Maybe mad.
Passkeys. And
Tristan's favorite pastime.
yeah.
This dude is about it.
So Passkeys, for people who don't know, actually for the people who do know, mainly developers know about them. They are a secure way of accessing information. So like accessing a computer remotely without using a password.
Yeah.
And so now Apple, in their glorious bestowment upon us, have brought it to the rest of the world. It's called Passkeys, and it basically is a super secure way of accessing like your accounts or logging in.
It's all through biometrics.
It's all through biometrics,
which is awesome.
Or it's probably like a local. It's probably just only biometrics at this point.
Biometrics specifically if you're using Apple products, because pretty much every Apple product has a fingerprint sensor at least. Mm-hmm. So if you're not using Face ID, fingerprint, other way around, blah, blah.
Yes.
And so from my understanding.
It kills passwords. You no longer need a password to send over the internet
which we
to
just
a
talked
server.
about this.
Yes.
We
Which is
literally talked
hilarious.
about this like a couple podcasts ago.
Yeah.
And the best part is that if you're using another device or something and you want to log in, you just take out your phone and scan a QR code.
Beep, boop. And they're working. It's not just Apple. Apple is actually, they've done a very good job recently of not being closed in.
Being all
on what they're doing.
inclusive.
They are working with Google and Microsoft on this to make this available across platforms and across everything. And so it's hopefully going to be taking the world by storm in the next, I think by 5 years from now, everybody's going to be at least using it on something. Not on everything, but at least something's going to be using it.
So here's the thing, Tristan. I have a question.
Yeah.
So someone gave you 2 options, okay? And the 2 options were you're able to use very short, easily remembered passwords and no 2-factor. Just you can just log in like traditionally. There's no crazy things. You can use the same password for every account if that's what you wish to do. Or you have the ability to never have to remember or type a password again, and the only requirement is just to keep your phone in your pocket when you go to log in, or have a computer that's got a fingerprint sensor, or a Face ID or whatever on it to log in. Like which world do you choose?
I mean, I do use biometric on my phone now, so I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but it still requires me on my phone on me, so I'd probably stick with the passwords. There's just so many times where I just don't have my phone on me. I just forget it places.
But literally,
it ain't on me.
With what they've told us that they can do is like, let's just say I grab David's laptop and I want to log in to, an account, and I have no idea what the password is, but my phone's in my pocket. You can literally pull your phone out, scan the code, and then boom, it logs you in. And now I'm on his computer, I'm logged in, and I can do my thing, and I don't have to remember. I can use someone else's computer, and it's just like, it totally kills LastPass.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. I don't know very many people. I don't know, maybe I'm just with older people, but I just don't know how many people's devices have Touch ID on them. I know all the iPhones will. Anything that's like within the last 6-7 years would have it, but a lot of the mid to low tier Android phones don't, and most laptops don't, unless you're getting an Apple device or high end like mid to high range Razer and Samsung tablets. I don't even think the Chromebooks do it,
So
which
it doesn't
is
explicitly
majority
have
of
to be,
users.
Biometrics.
Correct.
Like I said, with I just actually set this up. I needed to connect to my website, and I needed to go and add in the secure file system that was on my computer to be able to connect to the website online. And so I set up a secure passphrase that unlocks the thing on my computer that lets it communicate to the website. And so there's probably still going to be like a way to type in a passcode to then like do basically the same thing. But like the thing is that you're not sending the passcode to whatever you're logging in anymore. It's like you're telling your phone to decrypt something and then do a whole bunch of magic on your phone, and then that lets you do the rest. And biometrics is just a much more secure way of doing that. So on a low level, you probably
Which easier as
you
well.
would still need to have your phone,
Yes.
but you could still just type something in on your phone, I believe. 'Cause it has to
Passkeys
be like a
sounds like a
fail-safe backup.
disease.
What's that?
He's got passkeys.
Passkeys.
He's got passkeys. Watch out for him.
That sounds like a disease. I don't want passkeys.
I'm Kyle Passkeys here to talk to you today about a new
Internet
secure way.
That's a funny
device.
bit. Kyle Passkeys.
Kyle Passkeys.
He's trying to help provide. He's like the NordVPN. I'm Kyle Passkeys. I'm NordVPN. My name's Nord. I don't know. I'll have to watch the video and see more about it. It sounds interesting. I don't have an Apple phone. The only reason I would get one is because I want to use LiDAR, and there's apps that are Apple specific that use LiDAR for 3D model work. Yeah. And that's honestly the only reason I would switch to iPhone. You said it's Safari specific right now, but the thing is, you also said Google's probably going to roll out a similar system, which means
Chrome's going to have it, and all the
Chrome's going to have it eventually.
Because I think they showed it in a demo.
My computer doesn't have Touch ID, but you said there's another system for
they have to because those sensors can fail, and like if your phone, you get water damage on your phone or something, have to have some sort of
Mine usually does within days of getting one. That makes sense.
Yeah. So there's always backups to things, and
just get that new iMac keyboard with the Touch ID in it.
Which is
the thing that always confuses me is whenever you certain things have like 2-factor authentication, and then they give you a list of one-time use login phrases.
Yep.
Where do people store those?
Oh, I'm not going to tell you where I store mine, obviously.
Well, and I think
as a developer, David, if you made that as a product, where would you expect somebody to save a list of 10 one-time use passwords?
They tell you to print it out somewhere.
Well, I don't own a printer. I don't. Okay. What do you want me to do?
That system is sorry, that system is antiquated. Number one. Number two. What is it that you're referring to? What service or system that you've had to do this with?
See, honestly, I don't even know.
A lot of 2-factor.
I sent David a little Reddit thread today of somebody's experience using 2-factor authentication, or just not even 2-factor. It's logging into anything at all anymore, where I forget my passwords all the time. I have to constantly reset them, which requires me to go to my Gmail to reset it, and then I forget which email it's tied to. So then they're like, "What about your backup email?" And then it's like, "All right, well, I sure hope I tied it to a phone number." But apparently, SMSs are easy to be fraudulent now too. So it's like all of this redundant security just keeps getting more and more complicated. And I'll be honest, it gets more and more complicated, but it doesn't feel like it's any more secure because apparently I have to keep adding more more security to it. And after a certain point, I'm like, just let me, I'll just walk down. I'll just walk down to NordVPN. I'll walk down to Apple, and I'll just log in with my face.
So actually, I
want to log in person.
No. So the reason why cell phones are so insecure is because exactly that reason. People can social engineer. This is the reason why you can't trust your cell phone, is that you can call in to like Verizon, and somebody would say like, "Hey, I'm Tristan Watkins, and I lost my SIM card. Can I get a new SIM card?" And they can have enough information on you to trick whoever's working there at Verizon to give them a new SIM card with your phone number. And
I agree. That's stupid. You shouldn't be able to do that. That's what happened to H3H3 when they lost their YouTube channel.
That's hilarious. But that's why that system is bad. Because
you go down to the store where they see you once a week, and they know you by your face.
Humans are
they know who you are.
Than computers.
Stupider.
More stupid. Poopider on stupider.
I don't know, man. I'm excited to find an alternative to passwords. If this is it, then great.
Yeah.
But I'll hold my breath.
And get a QR code sewn into your skin.
That's
Honestly, people that watched that movie. What was
Mark of the
the
Beast.
yeah. What was that? What was that movie that was about that? The one that a lot of Christians don't like.
I don't know. I seemed.
What was it?
Left Behind.
Idiocracy?
Is it Left Behind?
Oh, I don't
Is
know.
that movie that was like poorly rendition of the Revelations book?
yes, Left Behind is a poorly rendition of Revelations book, and
I need to get the
Christians hate
chip
it,
put
but
in
they
my
don't,
skin.
They don't have the chip in that one. That's a different series.
The chip. It's the Matrix. Yeah. I don't know.
I seem to remember
I think
something that's already happened with barcodes. Just saying.
yeah.
QR codes?
No, barcodes.
What is barcodes?
On people?
Yeah, barcodes on people, chip and like
Yeah.
house key chip in your wrist.
I think we need to
all-
pass on
all
that
that
one.
stuff is already
Everybody's
happening.
unique number.
Yeah. I'm out.
Social security number.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Can I just
Which
get a
also
USB,
needs to be
David?
easy to guess. What's that?
Can I just get a USB, like one of those like encrypted
in the back of your
USBs that
head.
you plug in
just gonna say
for
that.
two-factor
Like
authentication?
a Cortana.
You should just have a USB plug like in your armpit, and it's like you sit down on your computer, you plug it in. It's like, oh, that's Tristan. He can use whatever he wants.
I'd rather have a
Personal
wireless
stench.
charger in my butt. Than just sit down and start charging up.
I just got the new fast charger, baby. I'm getting to 100% in 2 hours. I'm so
jeez.
productive.
Huh.
What time are we at? we are losing it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anything else? Oh, the M2 Max.
Well,
M2
The what?
Mac.
Yeah, thank you. MAC. They haven't completely they haven't obsoleted. Is that a word? That's not a word, is it?
Obsoleted? Yeah.
Are you sure?
Obsolete.
They haven't gone
They
obsolete.
haven't made something obsolete.
Yeah, they haven't done it with the rest of the M1 lineup, thankfully, because I was
No.
going to be mad because I just bought my computer. And then they come out with the M2, and I was like,
It's not that much better than the M1, though.
It's not, no. Remember, they were like
It's an
18%.
incremental improvement.
But still, I was like, come on now. You scaring me, Apple?
I just watched a video about that comparing a 3090 in Blender to the M1 Max Ultra Pro computer.
Yeah.
The super duper.
The one
How
the one I told you to watch, the Engadget?
I have no idea what you sent me. I just saw it online.
Oh, okay.
But this guy compares a 3090. I don't remember what the CPU was he was using, and he did GPU encoding in Blender. And the 3090, which is like $1,200-$1,400 MSRP, somewhere around there, and then versus like the $4 or $5 grand Mac Mini Super
M1
Duper.
Ultra.
Yeah, whatever the highest end was, and the 3090 just wrecked it in Blender for 3D encoding. It was like, or 3D rendering. It was over 500% faster, and then they tried the exact same test with a 3050, and it was like 200 or 300% faster. So
Well, it's
I
like
was
500% the size and the cost.
No, I'm saying the graphics card was both the 3050 and the 3090 obliterated Max M series, their ARM-based chip, which is fine. But the problem is, if you go back to all of the performance announcements whenever the M1 line was getting launched, they were like, "Oh, it's 4 times more efficient," and it is. It was 80. I think it was like 60 to 80 watts power draw versus like 400.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it takes over 4 times longer to render. So all of that energy efficiency is just like you jumping on the interstate and going slower. And you're like, I'm so much more efficient. But it's like, yeah, but it takes you 4 times longer to get there, and you're burning just as much fuel as if you drove fast. So for 3D rendering, which was the main reason I was wanting to upgrade my computer,
some, caveats.
I was like,
there's some caveats, but I still
jank.
I think the problem that Apple put themselves into is that they made the comparison up front at all.
Yeah.
They should have never compared an ARM-based, SoC, to integrated graphics essentially, compared to discrete graphics card. Like, I'm sorry, but there just can't be a comparison there. And I don't know why they were like, the M1 Ultra is just as fast as a 3080. And it's like, you can't, that claim was never going to be met. And we knew that. And so people are going to continue to make these benchmarks because they set it up for that.
Well, that's the thing is, like, they launched this product as a professional computer for people not just wanted to do video, because it is better for video encoding, but they launched it for photo, for video, for 3D work, for basically if you wanted to work at Pixar, you could use this type of device. And then all of their marketing, it wasn't just the comparison of like performance and watt output. They were like pushing it to be sold to people that are in that line of work, and it's a downgrade. If you have the money, if you have $5,000 to spend, you're better off building your own PC with a 3090 or even getting a pre-built.
Yeah, so,
especially now. So I was just really disappointed about it. And
talk about the caveats, because I think there's a lot of other things to also play.
There's fundamental differences in ideal scenarios between these chips. What we've come to know and love from like Intel and AMD, those chips are great at consuming all of the power and always using power all the time. So it's like a giant diesel engine, and like it can only be on. That's it. And at that power level,
and it generates a lot of heat.
It can a lot of heat all the time. And so ARM, the advantage to that is that we've gotten it to the point to where it can even be comparable. ARM can idle at basically 0 RPM and still like ramp up to 100 and be somewhat even giving something like Intel a run for their money. And so Apple has done this before when they moved from PowerPC Max to Intel. That move was horrible. When you're talking about like performance issues. But this is the kind of the proving ground, saying that like this is like something that's viable that just needs to be given more time. It's not supposed to be, I don't think it's a full-on replacement. I think there's somewhere in between. You have to have ARM-based stuff and whatever Intel, it's x84 or x86 is what it's called. And
I get that.
They should. Apple and their graphs, you just never trust their graphs.
You can't trust their graphs.
It just looks, they throw in very pretty colors and they show something that's like up here, down here. And like you look at the stats for the other thing, it's like some crappy Samsung Chromebook they found in the back alley. And they're like, oh yeah, it's so much better than this other one. But
I just think it's really
what Apple is doing is very
all.
Amazing, and they shouldn't be discredited. You're right. Their marketing is horrible. I mean, it's horrible because it's great, but it's great at misleading you. But this is the first time where ARM-based computers are actually not just for phones now, and they're doing a lot less. They're doing a lot more with a lot less power.
Correct.
And that's why you get amazing battery life too. There's so much other benefits that come if they can just finally put in the effort to get it back up to where, it's like moving to like a new process. You're going to be less efficient at it for a while until you can catch back up to where you used to be.
Well, and that's the thing, is talking about a process and efficiency. Like, one thing I don't think a lot of people are taking into context or into consideration with the new chips is still optimization. Mm-hmm. Optimizations are being made a lot to these programs, and I highly recommend, if you guys are interested in these chips at all, or getting a new computer and you're considering this and you're creative, watch Engadget's video about the M1 Ultra. They take the M1 Ultra inside their new Mac Studio and they compare it to a 3080 or 3090 in a Windows machine, and they do real life tests. So like, I'm just a creator, I'm going to go into Final Cut or Premiere or whatever it might be, and I'm going to compare numbers across the board. Yeah. If you do general 4K editing or whatever, and you do all the benchmarks, the M1 Max, even at that, which they said there isn't a huge performance jump, like CPU over CPU usage, or not usage, but performance does double from the Max to the Ultra, like it's supposed to. Yeah. But the rest of it doesn't exactly follow suit, and the GPU results were kind of all over the map. Yeah. So the Max, I still think, is the value buy. Like if you're wanting full performance and you're trying to find good value, I think the Max is. But with that being said, when they were doing comparisons with the 3080 or 3090 and the M1 Max or Ultra, the numbers were so incredibly close, and the M1s almost beat them out every time when it came to rendering video or photo work. It was still faster. And that's why I believe that not only are they going to get better, and of course I'm hoping for a discrete graphics card, I hope that Apple will make one that they can somehow connect with some crazy, new PCIe lane or whatever it is that just like blows the speeds of these guys out of the water, and it all interconnects in such a way that we've never seen before, because it's not like Nvidia's making their card and then Intel makes theirs and then someone else makes the the board, the motherboard, and it's like.
And so another thing I want to add on, which is really important, this is the early ages of just making things for these computers.
Correct.
Not a lot of software developers are familiar enough with how ARM works to make something the best of the best that can even compare, because they've been working on the x86 architecture for the past like 20 years. They know we've learned all the tips and tricks to make it like go as fast as possible. For example, when the GameCube was first released, one of the not the GameCube, the Nintendo 64, that was like revolutionary at the time. The Mario for that game system was horribly coded, just because the developers had no idea what they were doing, and everything was going on inside this new system that they just didn't have the knowledge or the know-how to make it run as well as it could.
Yep.
Then, like, after a couple years of it being out, the games that were being released were doing more and doing things better than the first games that came out for it, just because they have the experience and understanding of how that system works. And
that's
ARM is it's like the same thing. It's meant to be like lower impact on like every single action it does, and like the x86 is like, yeah, you can do anything you want. There's something set up to do that, and it just burns all the power, and like there's so many shortcuts that like cost so much energy usage, and then you're just moving down like. It's like going from like drills and power tools to hammers and nails. It's like you have to figure out how to do it the best way, and you need a couple years under your belt to really make something that can even match what you used to do before.
Right, but I mean that was what I was saying to begin with, is the video encoding and the photo encoding, and then still the music production, because that's what Mac built a lot of its laptop lineup off of, was a lot of major music producers using Logic, which is Apple exclusive, and I guess GarageBand maybe. But that was never the issue. The issue is they're promoting this as a product for people that want to get into specifically professional work, and more specifically 3D work. And while Final Cut and Logic and mostly Adobe Suite are pretty well optimized at this point, it still can't handle Maya, 3ds Max, Blender. Premiere's still jank in every platform it's ever in.
That's just Premiere.
Premiere can go eat it.
Like, you can't make that claim of like, oh, our new lineup is amazing, and that you could use this for professional work, because at the end of the day, if you're in a professional work environment, there's only two things that matter, and I know this is hard for Apple to hear, is like time and money. I don't really care about the environment. And when you have time and money available, then you can care about the environment. But until then, if you're just trying to like, I need to eat food and I need to take care of my family, there's a reason we chopped down half of the United States before we're like, hey, maybe we should care about it a little bit. And so if I have to render a video, or not a video, because we're skipping over, let's get a 3D. If you have to render a 3D model and that takes 12 hours, and then you come back and you find out it's wrong, you have to re-render it, I would have rather had the thing that did it in 3 hours and, just burnt through 5 coal fields. So I totally love the idea that like it's more efficient, but for a professional work environment, I need the thing that does it literally the fastest, because that's what allows me to make more money and is what allows me to make better decisions with my money, like caring about the environment.
Yeah, and so, this is in the industry, this is what we call the bleeding edge of technology.
Oh, for sure.
If you're a production house, you should not adopt to the latest and greatest thing. You should stick with what works.
Huh? What?
A whole studio updates laptops on a 6-month basis.
Leave me alone. I will say, though, I have never had a faster, smoother experience with Lightroom. That's why I did what I did. And I stand behind that decision 100% because
I'm not knocking anybody in this room now.
I'm just letting you know.
Hey man, I own an M1 Mac too. I'm in the same boat, bud.
You bought yours right after I bought my first one.
I did. And so for like giant companies, they're not. They don't update their products every year. They update it like every 4 years, and they go with like whatever was working a generation behind, just so they're sold things that are built to last, and they have millions of parts for.
It's true.
So,
And we're not a 3D studio. We're not using Blender, 3ds Max, Maya, or anything else. So like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's just, to me, it's just the authenticity of a company's marketing team, and
Agreed.
all the companies do the same thing.
Yeah.
They just lie about how valuable it is. It's like it reminds me of the Apple commercial when they released the new 21, 23, whatever inch iMacs, and they're like, you can watch it like a TV, and it has people sitting on their bed watching their 21-inch monitor.
No one does that.
no one.
I was like, all right, this person's never used a computer before.
Yeah. Good old
I was
Tim
like-
Apple sipping on his cappuccino and cupertino.
John Apple, God rest his soul.
It's like they keep, they're like, oh, you got to upgrade to Windows 11. It's the best thing since sliced bread. And it's like, yeah, it's a freaking dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's
I was talking with someone the other day.
brutal.
Like Windows, it changed. Like Windows XP, Vista 7, 8, 10, now 11. Like it changed like every single time. It's like so inconsistent, and it's just becoming bigger and smellier. And
I'd like to say that I miss it, but I don't.
I don't miss any of it.
it kind of reminds me of this podcast.
Yeah.
What, you don't
Bigger
miss
and
it?
bigger and smellier as the longer it goes.
Whatever. We're just going to keep
Well, I
ending
know
it
I'll
and
miss
making new
it.
seasons and saying that they're better, so it'll be fine.
Yeah, it's better, guys, because we got better cameras. Majority's audio only.
That's not true. We've gained subscribers this year.
Dude, we would have a podcast even if there was 0 listeners, because we just love it so much.
You know the best thing about this podcast? The outro song.
Tell them the things. Tell them the things.
things. But I can't do it unless we have the outro song. There we go.
Hey.
You can find us
I
on
still can't hear
Facebook
it.
and YouTube, not on Twitter, because Cole
Pretend
hates
like
that
you can
place.
hear it. It's playing right now.
Instagram, we
I'm
post stuff
dancing.
about what we're doing. We're going on a big trip soon. You'll love to follow us as we go on it. Tristan and Cole will be posting all about it. We love hearing from
In
you
September?
guys. Please soon. TM. Like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell. Tell your mom you love her.